This episode of Around the Oval is brought to you by Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. Hey, Ohio State fans, Alex Gleitman here, back with another edition of Around the Oval brought to you by Todd Pennington with Revolution Mortgage. This is a special edition of the podcast, a commitment edition. We are here with Luke Montgomery, 2023 offensive tackle from Findlay, Ohio. Just made his commitment live on CBS HQ, committed to The Ohio State University. Buckeye Scoop was on hand to cover his commitment, but we got a chance to talk with Luke prior. Luke, first off, just want to congratulate you on this decision. I know this has been a very thorough process for you. You made a lot of visits. You've talked to a lot of coaches. You've done a lot of research, and you obviously came to this decision. Not easy, one that a lot of people would love to have, but also one that a lot of people would not envy with all the great choices you had. So congrats on becoming a Buckeye first and foremost.
Thank you, Mr. Gleitman. Thanks for having me on the show as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, now that it's official and the world knows where you're going, how does it feel to be a Buckeye?
It's great. This opportunity, like you said, is a blessing. It's something I've been looking forward to for a long time. And I know it took me a while, but it was just how I wanted to take things a little slower and make sure I wanted to make the right choice at the end of the day.
Yeah. And, you had so many great choices. I mean, Alabama, Clemson, Michigan, Notre Dame, some of the best programs in America. You chose to stay home at Ohio State. Just tell everyone listening and watching, why was it the Buckeyes at the end of the day for you?
Yeah, I grew up a Buckeye fan. I actually was born in Columbus. Now I wasn't like a die hard fan like many others were, but I still loved watching them on TV. And it came down to the point a couple weeks ago, and like every single time, to be honest with you, every time I'd go somewhere else on a visit, I'd always compare it to Ohio State because that's where I wanted to go initially. And it just hit me a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to commit. I told my parents, I said, "There's no reason to wait now. It's in my backyard. It's an hour and 40 minutes away. I can come see my family members and my little siblings when I'm in college, and it's one of the best, if it is the best college and for football. So, and it's right here an hour away from me. So I don't see why not going there, and that's why I made the decision.
Yeah, that kind of, you touched on a little bit. I was going to ask you when did you when did you have the first feeling that it was going to be Ohio State? I know that's kind of where you started off this process thinking, if I could go to Ohio State, that might be where I want to go. But obviously you did make the visits and you did look at everything. When did you kind of have that feeling that it was going to be Ohio State?
When I really, really had the feeling, it was after I had a meeting with Coach Fry. I was in WOW with him after our first meeting when I went to Ohio State in March. Not March, January. And he had basically went through all of my film and stuff, and he had just been off the plane from LA, like a couple days prior, and I was just crazy to me that he had already had my film broken down, and he was showing me about 2 hours of film session of me and then his former players at UCLA and what he's looking for. And that's initially what sealed the deal for me is Coach Fry, and that was the only thing that I wasn't sure on at first, obviously, because he was a new head coach. So I thought initially I'd make a decision in a couple of months. But after that, I was like, there's no way I'm not going to have him as a O-line coach. And I wanted to jump right on it and become a Buckeye.
Yeah, and I know you had a pretty good relationship with Coach Stud. So,
yeah,
when they first kind of announced that he wouldn't be coming back, it wasn't too long when they announced Coach Fry as his replacement. But when you first heard Coach Stud coming back, did that, in your mind, was that kind of like an like what's going on here type of moment?
Yeah, it was definitely because I really like Coach Stud. I'm actually still in contact with him. For someone to offer me is, it's a huge blessing, like I said. But Ohio State to offer me, that's a pretty big deal. And he was the one that offered me, gave me that scholarship. So I'm still in touch with him a lot. I'm not sure if he has a job yet.
I don't think so. Not yet.
So I'm hoping somehow, since he doesn't have a job yet, I texted him already to see if I'd be able to go down to Columbus and do some O-line work with him. And he's definitely up to that. So I'll be seeing if I can do that eventually here in the upcoming couple of months. But yeah, it was kind of devastating, to be honest with you. I texted Josh. I was just making sure because he didn't know yet. And I was like, did you see this? What's going on? Like stuff like that. And Ohio State didn't really text me for a couple of weeks, which was all right because I knew they were just trying to find a new O-line coach, and I gave them time, and I think they found a great fit. I think they really did.
Yeah, and I haven't had the pleasure of meeting Coach Fry yet, but everything I've heard from people I talked to right before they hired him, people at Boston College who knew him, a lot of the recruits like yourself who got a chance to interact with him already, seem very impressed with him. I was actually in college when he was in college at Indiana. I was at Ohio State, so I remember him as a player. He was a pretty good player too, so I'm sure he'll be able to teach you some things. Yeah, so I obviously it was very impressive just off the plane being able to already have. You were a priority for him. That was pretty clear. But what else is it about Coach Fry that excites you about playing for him?
Just his energetic and personality, just enthusiasm for the game. Walking in there, I felt like I was already family. And when I was there, I mean, I'm pretty close with Paris, and I know they like in the weight room, they were all like he was already fit, just built for that, and already fit in with the players. So he's definitely a players coach, and I feel like in this day and age, it's super important to be that. Just like how college football is changing and all that, and Coach Fry just fits everything for the O-line room, and I love it.
Yeah, definitely. And one more guy I just wanted to ask you about on the staff. Your dad played for a guy a long time ago named Kevin Wilson, who ironically is the offensive coordinator for Ohio State, coaches the tight ends, but definitely helps with the offensive line a bit. Talk to me about your relationship with Coach Wilson and your family's relationship with him and how big of a part that played in your recruitment.
Yeah, Coach Wilson. I mean, he's been there since 8th grade. That's when I first really met him. I went down to Ohio State for spring practice. He invited my brother, my dad, and I down just to see. I wasn't necessarily a recruit that time, but we just went down there just to see what it was like as a Division I Power 5 college. Our relationship has grown. He's so funny. He's a funny dude. I'm actually pretty close with his son Toby. I hang with him multiple times when I've been in Columbus. He's a great kid as well, but they're pretty much family to us. My dad calls him just every once in a while, talks to him. I feel like sometimes I'll just walk into his office and I'll be like, "Who's on the phone?" And he'll be like, "It's Coach Wills." And I was like, "Oh goodness, like what does he have to say?" You never know. He's a character. You never know what he's gonna bring to the table when you're on a phone call with him.
Yeah, for sure. And when you talk about those guys, Coach Day obviously played a part in this, recruitment too. Coach Fry now, Coach Wilson. What have they told you about, where do they see you slotting in on the offensive line? What are their expectations for you throughout your career at Ohio State?
Yeah. So Coach Fry actually had told me my footwork is amazing, which is pretty cool for him to say that. They want to start me out at a left tackle or right tackle. They want to start me out on the outside and see how I do there. And then I really think I could play tackle. I know some people think I can't, but I do think I can. I really do. And if not, then I'll go to the inner O-line, which I've been playing left guard and center in high school as well, so I wouldn't have a problem with that. And so any of the 5 positions on the line is totally up for grabs, and that's obviously helps me with get on the field as fast as I can.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the main goal. I mean, look at Paris, right? He's a natural tackle, but he's backed up. He played a little bit of guard as a freshman. He started at guard as a sophomore, and I think there's a pretty good chance he might be an All-American offensive tackle this coming year. So that's not a bad formula to get on the field, kind of learn how to play, and then maybe move around a little bit depending on where the team needs you. And you're a basketball kid. You got those feet. You obviously you play tight end, defensive end. So you're fairly new to the O-line position. I guess before we go into kind of the things you do well and the things you want to work on, what's your current height and weight at, and where do you want to get by the time you get to Ohio State?
Yeah, so I'm 6'4" and a half, 6'5" without shoes on right now, and I am 200, almost 270. I'm like 268 right now. They really don't need me to gain any weight going in because I know they gain weight on you and you instantly gain muscle like that in the months. So my goal is to probably be between 275 and 280. I think that'd be a great place to be at going into camp season next January because I'll be enrolling early. So I think that'd be perfect. Keep that and maintain that during the football season. And then after, I'll probably gain weight just because I eat so much and lift after football season this upcoming year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you say you're 270 now. I mean, if you looked at you probably say, yeah, he's 240, maybe
Yeah.
250 just because of your height. But so you'll get to 300 easy with your frame in no time, the way that they, give you the shakes
Yeah.
and the nutrition plan and the weight room and things like that. So you're going to enroll early. You're going to be there about a year from now. You'll be going through winter workouts, getting ready
Crazy.
for spring ball. Yeah, absolutely crazy. Going into that, I mean, I know you're still raw a little bit as an offensive
Yeah.
line prospect. You're still
Yeah.
learning, but what are the things you feel that you do well, and what are the things that you feel you still need to work on as an offensive lineman?
Yeah, some of the things I do well is definitely pass pro. I think that's definitely an advantage for me just because of my footwork. I'm able to get out of my stance really quick. The run game, I can be great at sometimes, but when I'm fatigued, I'm definitely I notice stuff on film. I'd say the one thing I definitely need to work on is pad level, and I have so much stuff to learn still because it's just a technician, like it's all technique at offensive line. So I'm just a pup right now, and I have a lot to learn. And Coach Fry will be sending me a bunch of stuff, and I'll be working out with him in the spring, obviously when I can during the camp season.
That's great. When are you going to get out to Ohio State next?
Yeah, we will be there. I think they play the team up north for basketball on March 3rd or something like that at Ohio State. So I'll be at that for sure. I don't think I'm going to make the spring game. My mom is wanting us to go on a spring break trip for a couple of days down in Florida, which I don't know. I feel about it because I know a lot of recruits are coming to that, so I need to be there. So I don't know how that conversation will go with mom, but definitely every week that I know of a big time recruit coming, I'm going to be there because it's only an hour and a half away, and I'll be driving up there on the weekends to be with them on their recruiting trip.
That's awesome. And you went from Michigan recruit to quickly call them the team up north.
I know.
So,
Trying to get used to it.
I think Ohio State fans listening will love to hear that. For your time in Ohio State, whether it's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, what are your personal goals and what are your team goals for your time in Columbus?
Personal goal for me, the biggest personal goal for me is to become a team captain. I've always thought that'd be awesome. Having that at the Ohio State University, I mean, it's nothing's better than that at that place. So being a captain for sure, and then team goal wise, obviously being the team up north every year and winning national championship, which I think we can do with this R23 class, and then obviously the 22 class and other classes as well.
No doubt. And you mentioned, you talked a lot about recruits. You mentioned Josh Padilla, who's obviously one of your fellow offensive line commits. You talked about being down there to help recruit out. So, what recruits currently? I mean, have you been in touch with all these guys that are in the class? You started to build that bond with them. I guess my question for you is more so, who's on your list to go out and try to get for Ohio State?
Oh yeah, for sure. So who's on my list? Richard Young, AJ Harris, Troy Boyles, Peyton Kirkland, Chase Bazontis. There's a lot of kids. Carnell Tate is a huge one. Brandon Ennis. I'm in contact with every single one of those kids. And I know Cedric. I talk to Cedric every single day. He plays with the South Florida Express team, on the 7-on-7. And all those kids are on that. So he's on them every single day during practices and games on the weekend during 7-on-7. And he's doing a great job. And we're hoping we can get them to become some of our own. So I'm excited to see where this goes, this class.
Yeah. If they got half of the names you just mentioned, I think you guys would have a good shot at the best class in the country. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Someone else, I'm sure you'll maybe do some recruiting of, lives just down the hall from you. Your brother, Ryan, is a 2025. It feels weird to say that, 2025 recruit, but he started at quarterback this year. He ended up winning the job in his freshman season, and he's got an offer from Ohio State as well as a few other schools. Just talk to me. I mean, I know, look, you guys throughout this whole process have always talked about loving the opportunity to potentially play together, but obviously needing to make the best decision for both of you independently. Just talk to me about the possibility for playing with your brother at Ohio State one day. How special would that be?
It would be something unreal. I think at that point it'd be like one of those sports the next thing on the College Game Day type interview, and I think that'd be pretty absurd. It's always been a dream to play with him. Just playing in high school is awesome, and I say this a lot, but a quarterback standpoint, recruiting is just completely different than any other position, and he's a lot different than me and my personality wise, and I want him to find his own fit and what fits him best. And to be honest with you, I hope he becomes a Buckeye, but I'm not sure. I'm going to push for it, obviously, but I'm not going to over push.
Yeah, well, it would be hard for him to play super early at Ohio State, obviously, but if he did have the chance, maybe if you're somehow there 4 years or 5, it would be pretty cool if you're blocking his blind side. So that would be a pretty cool story. You're right. Last thing before we let you go, Luke, appreciate the time once again, but we talked a lot about football. We talked a lot about recruiting, but we know you play hoops. Let's forget that. What does Luke Montgomery like to do? Let's let the fans get to know you. What do you like to do when you're not playing football, when you're not playing hoops, not in the weight room? What are you doing on your spare time?
In the spare time in the winter, I'm just hanging out with friends a lot. I'm a big UFC fan. We usually pre-order the fights with a bunch of friends and watch those. In the summertime, I'm fishing almost every day after football and stuff like that. There's a big lake close to here. We have a lot of catfish. Hook up a hot dog on the end of the line and reel them in. So I enjoy fishing in the outdoors a lot more than I do inside. And I actually don't play any electronics like Xbox or PS5 wise. I'm not a fan of those, to be honest with you. So I'm more outside and being adventurous as much as I can.
Oh, that's awesome to hear. Definitely don't get enough of that, of getting outside in today's world with kids your age. But Luke, thanks again for joining the show. We appreciate it. And congrats again on becoming a Buckeye. We're excited to cover you for the next, 3, 4, 5 years.
Thank you, Mr. Gleitman. Thanks for having me.
This episode of Around the Oval was brought to you by Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. If you've been thinking about refinancing or buying a house, check out our sponsor, Todd Pennington with Renovation Mortgage. They offer low rates for refinancing and home purchase loans, including first-time home buyer programs, down payment assistance, and cash-out home equity loans. Check out revolutionmortgage.com/tpennington.